Well, let's jump into this. I'm going to come at you today with Service Topia. If I were to unpack that word for you, from my perspective, Service Topia would look like this. It's a place where there's a high service focus and there's high personal fulfillment as I apply that service focus. Who in the room would like to be remembered as a person who was performing their service at a very high level and they were very fulfilled in their career throughout? Who would like to have that as their legacy? Most of you are going to raise your hand on that. If I were to survey the room, I'd probably get 100% of high performance, high fulfillment, this high service focus. And that's how we want to be remembered. That's how we want to interact with our clients internally and externally. Certainly at Southwest Airlines, that's what we wanted to do, is create an environment, create a culture where there's a high service focus and our staff, our employees were very fulfilled in delivering that service. Right? What are the attitudes and behaviors of people who are in that space? Just shout out some words, anybody. Positive, energetic, enthusiastic, on time, diligent, creative, enthusiastic. All of those things together create this space, but that's not how life works. Every now and then people slide over. They're still focused on the service. They're just not as fulfilled as they once were. Something happened. Right? Somebody pushed their fairness button and all of a sudden, I'm just not as happy as I once was. Have you ever seen somebody there? Don't nudge anybody. I see somebody up there, that's you. Right? What are the attitudes and behaviors of those people? They're still showing up, they're still doing the work, they're still delivering good service, they're just not as happy. They can get frustrated, can't they? They can get sarcastic if you let them go long enough. They can start to burn out if you let them go long enough. It's a dangerous place because if I stay there long enough, we will slide down to low performance, low customer focus, low service focus, and low personal fulfillment. What are the attitudes and behaviors of those people? Late, whine, complain, sabotage, steal. That's all before noon. Very dangerous place to be. And if you think about it, if I can maintain a high level of service topia, that focus, it allows me to be available that if I see someone sliding, I can reach out and pull them back into this space of service topia. And that's the idea for you. As you go out and apply yourself in your teams, we can reach out, and when we recognize people who are not delivering that service at the level we all have committed to, then I can pull them back. It's really a really great picture of what inspiration should be. You know what the word inspire means? It's a Latin word. It just simply means to breathe. When you breathe, you inspire. When you do not breathe, you expire. Very good. I'm so glad you're on the front row. I love that. Look for it. It's all around us. If we want to be inspirational, if we want to reach out and lift people up, inspire people, all we have to do is look because it's everywhere. But you have to be available yourself first. I'm going to have to be in that space. I'm going to come at you for the next 55 minutes, 56 minutes or so, and I'm going to come at you from this perspective. How do we lift ourselves, and then how do we lift others around us in our teams as we apply great service principles, and how do we do that in this mindset of Service Topia? Right, so let's look at it. What really drives Service Topia, obviously, is a level of performance, this high level of performance. And to do that, we're going to have to interact together. We're going to have to be able to trust each other and interact together. Now, I'm going to take this to a little deeper level. I like another term for this. It's called relational coordination. Right, it implies that I'm going to coordinate the effort with everybody around me. So it's not just my team members. It's also my boss, my customers, my vendors, my suppliers, other departments. So as you interact, you're coordinating efforts with everybody. To do that, and what we found at Southwest and what I find universally, to do that, there's two types of tension that exist. There is service tension. That's the positive tension that I want us to stay focused on. Service Topia is high service focus. It creates a service tension, and that's healthy tension. That's what we want. And then there's also people tension. People tension is the kind of tension that distracts us from giving great service. Right? And here's what the research shows. If I have high people tension, my service tension is going to drop. Customer service goes down when people are stressed out. I was working with a lady in Austin, Texas. She's the VP of HR for a company there. I said, how many people work here? She said, about half. I thought that was a pretty good answer. Depending on how much gossip we have going, depending on what policy doesn't make sense, depending on what fairness button got pushed today, got about half of them going. So here's what happens. When I can remove the tension, I can get 95% of my energy on effective service, on-task completion, on whatever that relational coordination requires for me to execute the function of my job. So look for areas right now where there's tension, unhealthy tension, and say, how can I go back and reduce that tension? How can I change that conversation? You know that conversation you need to have with your employees sometimes? It sounds like this. I need to apologize to you guys because I haven't held you to a high enough standard. That's I see some people writing that down. I'm going to apologize. Or that conversation with your boss, I want to be able to do my best work for you, but I need you to do some things for me so I can perform better. It's good language. Hard conversations to have, but it helps us to remove tension. Same thing with customers, vendors, suppliers. I really want to be able to work well with you. I want to be able to deliver in an effective way for you, but we need to have a conversation so I know how to meet your expectations. All right, it allows us to get on the same field so we can have great relational coordination. To do that, where I spend a lot of my time, how do you create that environment, that service culture? You might want to think about it like this. It's like a seedling, and I want to take care of it. I have to create the right environment for that to thrive. There has to be buy-in, and we have to make sure that we move through. So there's the startup mode. There's some risk-taking there. But the reality is, in your business, you've probably been building, growing, and recruiting and managing for some time. You had this innovation time that happens, and that's kind of when you stop. You take a pause. I don't know if, and you learn. You say, okay, we've got some new products, new strategy, new technology. What can we do to give higher levels of service, to provide better solutions? All right? And that's when you come to a conference and you get into this mindset, this learning culture. Let's not lose our edge. Can we learn our way to the next level? Now, at the end of all this, the reality of where you really are is more like this. You're really right there. You guys have a deep root system, and it's sturdy and it's strong, and what you do is amazing, and your creativity is amazing. But we can't lose sight that it's about people. It's so easy to get transaction focused and forget we're in a customer service business, and you really are. So we're going to have to stay into that customer service mindset. And to do that, it's really about sticking to who you say you are. And so we want to make sure that our service values are translated through our behavior and that we are demonstrating those consistently. What does that service vision really need to look like? How do I play out our values behaviorally? Southwest certainly put a lot of thought into that, and I'm going to share their vision statement with you. It's really a vision value statement all in one, and the first part of it is directed right to the customer. Dedication to the highest quality of customer service, delivered with warmth, friendliness, individual pride, and company spirit. I think we need to lighten it up a little bit. I mean, we spend half our awake life at work. You guys probably spend more than half your awake life at work. Who do you want to be around at work? What kind of person? Positive, fun, entertaining, energetic, enthusiastic, diligent, hardworking, right? All the things that you want to be remembered as, that's who you want to be around. Think about, how do I want to walk in? How do I want people to see me? When I engage the customer, how do I want them to see me? This enthusiasm has to be there. You know what entheos is? I like that word too. It's a Greek word, entheos is the root of it. Same word we get theology. Enthusiasm is not a feeling, it's a belief. Do you believe in what you're doing so much that when you enter a room, other people can feel it? Or do you give a level of service that's so good that people don't just experience it, they feel it? Let's loosen it up, let's lighten it up. But above all, let's treat our employees, let's treat each other, let's treat our customers with the same concern, respect, and caring attitude within the organization that we're expected to share externally with every customer. That's a pretty tight statement. I know that you guys share equally tight values for service, and it matters. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here right now. So I respect what you do, but let's go back and renew it. And let's restore it. Let's get it back. So you may be organized in a certain way, but I want you to think about it like this. The level of service you give externally is only going to be as good as the level you give internally. According to Marcus Buckingham, the engagement or the passion of employees, it varies greatly. About 19%, according to his research, actively disengaged, not passionate at all about the business, not passionate at all about their customers. 55% trading hours for dollars. They go either way. And then about 26% actively engaged, passionate about their service, passionate about their business. What we want to do is try to move your bell curve that direction. A lot of people think passion comes from just getting more money. If I have opportunities to make more money, I'm going to be more passionate. Here's my version of what I think cash does. I think cash follows these things. If I build more competencies, I become more valuable. And if I have the right attitude, I'm going to be able to deliver better service. And if I'm playing to my strengths, if I'm doing some things that play to who I am as a person, All right? And then if I do the habits that predict success, I think cash follows those things. I'm a great counselor. People ask for more money. I say, go do these things first. And they're like, okay. Or maybe they say, I don't feel like it. At least I know. At Southwest, we routinely said, let's hire for attitude, let's train for skill. We want to hire people that like people. I want to continually focus on learning and development. So no matter what you do, leave this conference with a commitment to go back and continually develop yourself, especially towards service ideals. So there's tons of research with the internet. You can find everything right there. Just go back and just spend 15 minutes a day to say, okay, I'm going to learn something new today. I'm going to get a different perspective today on service, and just make that part of your routine. Another part I would encourage you to do is this. Make part of your routine a process for giving frequent recognition and praise. Just pick an hour a day and go out and find people doing things right. And then finally, we've got to look for ways of creating effective support. I call it supervisor support. Anytime, you might not even be a formal supervisor, but you might be supervising a project. So when I say the word supervisor, I'm not talking about title or position. I'm talking about really the verb of supervisory support for anybody that I'm supporting, no matter what level of the organization. I find it critical that there's a sense of support. I feel that as an employee base, I feel that sense of support. And finally, let's put some pizzazz around it. Let's put a little zip on it, something that just finishes everything off. And to do that, you're going to have to just identify, what are my moments of truth? What are my opportunities to do that? And you'll find, when you start looking for those moments of truth throughout your day, you'll find those opportunities to surprise and to lift other people, to inspire other people, to bless other people in these moments of truth. It's tricky because I know that you guys value this, because you're focused on it. You're investing time and energy to focus on it. So I sense at the core of who you are, there's a value placed in this. And you probably have some really good intentions. Even after some of the things I've said and some of the other things you're going to learn at the conference, you're going to be at the end of this going, wow, I'm going to go back and I'm going to do some stuff. There's some things I want to get done. So some really good intentions. But if I were to come visit you, I would have to evaluate your commitment based on what I see you do. So my perception of your service is going to be how I experience your service. How well is my perception of your behavior, right? Before they couldn't say that, but they can say, there's evidence in his behavior that he values this. If I were to come visit you and I were to evaluate your service, would there be evidence in your behavior? Would there be evidence in your attitude? Right? And if I'm going to put some pizzazz on it for my customers, I've got to understand where they're coming from, and I've got to meet them there. So now it's not just about my point of view. I've got to understand my customer's viewing point, and I've got to meet them there. That's what makes this so challenging, is delivering service in a way that's going to be well received by the person receiving the service. And I'm going to give you this statement or this phrase. I would ask you to go back and be thinking in terms of creating a service culture. All right, everything we're doing is bounced up against and off of this idea that we have a culture of service. We're going to meet that expectation. We're going to exceed that expectation. Let's go back and let's start to think in terms of personal accountability around this idea of delivering this on this service culture. I want us all to say, you know what, I'm going to personally take responsibility for the environment I'm in on delivering excellent service. Because if you do that, the more responsibility you take for your current reality and the current impact you have on the people around you, the more empowered you're going to feel and the more positive your influence is going to be. Now, this is my language. You might get this slide, want to change some of the words. That's fine, but make it real for you. And I just challenge you to do that. Step into it, all right, and go back and make a difference. And as you do that, you will start to feel the freedom that comes with it, and you'll start to enjoy the success that comes with it, all right? And take it back to your teams as well. Let's get the trust stuff figured out. We got to be able to rely on each other. Let's get people doing what they cannot not do. Let's get strengths and abilities flowing into this service package. Let's align ourselves to these values and in our vision for what our service is going to look like. How do I know you're committed? Because there's evidence in your behavior. And then I know you do this well. Let's measure it. That's the accountability piece. Let's be willing to be accountable for this. If you want to look at it from a motivation standpoint, it's the same words. We want to raise the task tension. We want to raise the service. We're going to do that by lowering people tension. We start with the relationship first. All right? And to do that, trust is what's going to pull the tension down for the team. You're going to ground your team in trust. And expertise is going to blast off service. And then people start to align themselves to service priorities and our service culture and our service initiatives. And there's commitment because you see it in the evidence in their behavior. And then motivation breaks out. And measurement pulls the performance through the roof, and accountability really drives down. And if you're on a team like I was on at Southwest, you can change the word accountability. You can just change that to celebration, because that's really what it's like. Let me end with this last thought, and I'll be done. The first client I worked with when I left Southwest Airlines was Hawaiian Airlines. And through a series of events, I got connected with them, and I got a call from their VP of HR. She said, Jason, would you be willing to come over here and do about 60 days of leadership training for us? Now, you'd have to come to Honolulu. Is that okay? And I said yes, and started a beautiful relationship that lasted several years. And I became very fond of the culture there and the people there. And every time I go there, they greet me in a beautiful way. What do they say when you go to Hawaii? Aloha. But they don't just say aloha. If you're close to somebody, they will kiss cheeks and they give gifts. And it's a tradition that goes back to ancient Hawaii. And I asked a friend of mine there, her name's Kina Sai. I said, Kina, what is the deal with aloha? It's such a beautiful greeting. Where's it come from? And she said, well, there's varying stories about it, but literally, when ancient islanders would row up on a friendly visit, the Tahitian, Tonga, Samoan, Hawaiian, when they would greet each other, these big warriors would extend arms, palms up. And it was a gesture that says, look, I'm unarmed. It was a friendly gesture, says, I come in peace. It's like a handshake is, look, no handgun. It's just a gesture that says, I'm unarmed, I'm friendly. And so it's a gesture. And they would grab arms, and they would say, alo. A-L-O in Hawaiian, it means front or face or presence. And they would pull each other face to face, and they would share, ha! And ha is exactly what it sounds like. It's a breath. They believed if you shared breath, you shared spirit. It literally means I welcome you with my spirit. The word ha, vai, W-A-I in Hawaiian, it means water. Ha, same root word, spirit. Hawaii, a place in the water that renews your spirit. A place in the water that brings life. Isn't that beautiful? If you guys do nothing else leaving here today, just go out and share some ha. And it's no accident laughter's ha-ha. Now, I made that up, but I think it fits, man. I think we need to laugh more. I think we need to bless each other more. You guys have certainly done that for me. And with that, I wish you all a very fond aloha. God bless everybody. Thank you.